All right, today we're going to dive deep into the world of ALS clinical trials. And what you're about to see is that this isn't just one single race for a cure. It's this huge, fascinating, and interconnected ecosystem of discovery. So let me ask you this. When I say the words ALS clinical trial, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, we probably picture a scientist in a lab coat, or maybe a patient participating in a study, all part of that urgent, desperate hunt for a cure.
And you know what? That's absolutely a massive part of the story. But that search for a cure, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. What we're going to do now is explore everything that's happening just beneath the surface. So, let's start at that tip, the part we hear about the most, the classic drug trial. This is the kind of stuff that makes the headlines, and it's definitely the most common type of study you'll find in ALS research.
Its whole purpose is laser-focused. It's designed to answer one single, all-important question: does this new medicine actually work? So researchers will test an experimental drug against a placebo, or whatever the current standard treatment is, and they're looking for any measurable benefit.
And this whole thing is a carefully planned journey. It's not just a single shot in the dark. It really unfolds in 3 acts. Phase 1 is all about safety. Can patients tolerate this drug without serious problems? Then, Phase 2 is where they start looking for those first hints that it might actually be effective. And only then, if all goes well, do they move to Phase 3. That's the huge, expensive, definitive study designed to prove once and for all that the drug truly works.
But how do they actually know if it's working during all those phases? Well, they have this absolutely critical tool called the ALS-FRS-R scale. You can kind of think of it like a report card for all the daily functions that matter so much to someone living with ALS. Their ability to walk, to speak, to swallow, and even to breathe. This is where progress stops being theoretical and becomes real.
Okay, but that begs a huge question, right? Where do these ideas for new drugs even come from? And that brings us to the foundation of the iceberg, the part that's underwater. We're now diving into the research that makes all those drug trials even possible. And here's the key difference. If an interventional trial is all about testing an idea, an observational study is all about gathering the clues to create that idea in the first place. These studies aren't testing a new pill, they're just trying to understand the disease itself on a much deeper level.
This is pure detective work, seriously. Researchers are collecting everything you can imagine: blood samples, spinal fluid, genetic data, brain scans. They're mapping out the disease's natural history, basically how it progresses without any intervention. And they're on the hunt for biomarkers, which are like biological fingerprints that can help them track the disease.
And this is where it all clicks together. All of that data, all those clues, it's not just for writing academic papers. It directly feeds back into how future drug trials are built. It helps scientists design smarter, more targeted trials that have a much better shot at actually succeeding.
But the fight against ALS isn't only about finding a pill to slow it down. The research ecosystem is also bursting with incredible innovations that are all about improving people's quality of life and function right here, right now. Let's start with this number, around 10%. That's roughly the percentage of ALS cases that are known to be inherited, caused by one specific genetic hiccup. And knowing that has opened the door for some incredibly precise, targeted therapies. The perfect example is a drug called Colsdy, which is designed to go after one single gene. It's just an amazing look at precision medicine in action.
And the innovation just keeps going. We're seeing clinical trials for unbelievable assistive devices, for new rehab strategies to help people maintain their function, and even studies on how nutrition and metabolism play a role. Researchers are even looking at the whole healthcare system to figure out how to deliver care better. It's a truly holistic approach that supports the entire person, not just the disease. And some of this tech, honestly, it sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. There are device trials exploring things like brain-computer interfaces. A company called Synchron is actually developing an implant that could let patients control a computer just by thinking. We're talking about restoring a connection to the world.
So when you put all of these pieces together, right, the drug trials, the deep foundational research, these incredible tech breakthroughs, you start to see that it's not a bunch of separate efforts. It's one single, unified ecosystem of hope.
And this table just lays it all out perfectly. You can see how each type of trial has its own unique and totally essential job. From testing a new drug, to understanding the disease, to improving daily care, every single one of these is a critical piece of the puzzle. They all have to work together.
And that right there is the big idea I want you to walk away with. This is not a random list of projects. It's a network. It's a web of interconnected studies, where progress in one area directly fuels breakthroughs in another. What we learn from an observational study makes a drug trial smarter. What we invent in a device trial improves daily life, while the search for a cure goes on. It's all connected.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? To take on a disease as incredibly complex as ALS, you need an equally complex, collaborative, and multifaceted strategy. It's not about finding one single magic bullet. It's about advancing on every single front all at once. So the real question isn't just, how do we find a cure? It's, how does every single piece of this incredible ecosystem bring us one step closer to a world without ALS?